Welcome to the Nameless Blog. I'm your host, Dr. Kyle Berkeley, Kyle S. Berkeley, and I am glad to have you all here. And I am I should have just closed that screen out because it was still playing. Not sure if you guys heard that. But again, welcome to the Nameless Blog. I'm your host, Kyle S. Berkeley, Dr. Kyle Berkeley, KB, Slope to Pisces, Raw Slope. A lot of names, a lot of titles, and a lot of them I've earned, probably. And I am definitely excited to be here with you all today. This is recorded on January 26th, 2024. This year is already moving. Like here we are at the end of the month already. This is what's up. Some early housekeeping. Again, my name's Kyle S. Berkeley. I am a writer, author, award-winning author, and a nominated author, finalist nominee for the Baltimore Crown, award-winning for the WIB Man of the Year for the Wake, and more on that very, very soon, actually. Um, Currently, I have the Wake out on all forms of media. The Void and the Legacy are out on all forms of media. The Union, which I'll show the trailer of that towards the end of the this will be out on May 29th. The Void and the Legacy, that was the trailer I started off the show with, so that way people could see, what's going on. Like I said, the Union will be out on the 29th, and there is some major changes coming. Uh, the the Wake, my very very first published book. I say very first published book because I've written a ton of books in my lifetime. I wrote my very very first book when I was in first grade. Believe it or not, it was a horror book, and in that horror book, my first grade teacher, she really liked it. And she had me read it towards the class, and then she turned around and had me read it towards the students. I went to Westport Elementary in Baltimore City, and I read it there. And she tried to do everything she could to get it published. My mom actually recently told me she still has a copy of that book, believe it or not. And I've been thinking about how would I go about putting that out now that I'm well in my 40s, and that book was done when I was like 6 years old. But there's a lot of other books. Like growing up, I was always writing. I was writing music, I was writing stories, I was writing books, and throughout my life, I've written a ton of books. Oddly enough, when I was in middle school, I was actually picked on for writing a book because I did somewhat of a knockoff of the Power Rangers. It was like a spoof of them. And I did another book called Mortal Kombat versus Street Fighter, which it was like three books actually. And so they're just sitting around. There's a ton of other books that I have, and I don't know when or how. And it's interesting because what's come up with my own kids, my oldest daughter, my middle daughter, they're both great artists. Like they're real good at drawing and everything. Like really phenomenal work that they do. I really encourage them. I push them to really go as far as they want to with this gift that they have. Savannah recently wrote her first story, and she was like, "Hey, Daddy, I want to write a book." And I'm like, "Dude, let's do it. Let's write that book. I'll teach you everything I know, and let's see what happens. Let's go." And I believe that it's our responsibility of our generation to push the next generation. So I wanted to start off with that, and I wanted to do this other bit of housekeeping. But first, let me tell you on all forms of social media where you can find me. I can be found on Instagram, TikTok. Uh, I'm not really on Twitter. I think I have a Twitter. It's at Berkeley for us. I'm not on there. I don't even know how many followers I have on there, so don't look for me on there. But I do have a Threads. All of those are at Berkeley for us. On Facebook, you could find me at Dr. Kyle Berkeley. I'm the only Dr. Kyle Berkeley on there. And on Threads, I'm on Threads quite often now at Berkeley Fuss, and I'm always on Instagram. You can always find me on there at Berkeley for Us. YouTube, of course, this is where I do the show at. I'm at Berkeley for Us on here. I had to figure some things out because some kind of way my title on YouTube changed to some other Cal Berkeley. Like it was like some long drawn out Dr. Carl Berkeley. Like, no, 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 keep it as Berkeley for Us. So I had to recently change that back. But house well, we did the housekeeping, which is where everybody can find me on all the social media handles. There's a bit of news, which is why I've been waiting since Monday or Tuesday to do this episode of Nameless Blog, and that is the rights. So there's no secret about this. We have been in the process of pre-production and now moving into the production phase. We're actually going to have a writers' room meeting on tomorrow. Myself and the team that's involved, including Devin Walker, Mr. Shaw, Comp from Def Jam, Alan Stone, a few other people, Andre Osborne, and we're going to have this writers' room meeting. My COO of Boldprint, Lamont Crisell. So we're going to have this meeting, and we're plowing forward. We have. I'm not going to publicly say that yet, just because she and I are working out some details. But we have a lot of wheels moving, and this is very positive in the timing of it all. In the midst of all of this, there's an opportunity that has arose. And I say opportunity because where some people would say, "Oh my gosh, I have to pull my hair out," which I don't want to. I really love my hair. But some people would go, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening. What am I going to do? Panic, panic! Sky's falling, sky's falling." Last year, I was blessed with the opportunity of opening up Bold Print Publishing. I went to Liftbridge, put out The Void, and I was in the process of putting out The Legacy. Was in the process of booking up this tour. Last year, the East Coast Book Tour, which was a complete total success. And then we learned that we had to make some changes because of distribution rights, which led to the door opening for Bold Print Publishing, and it's become the success that it's been thus far, and continue growing, and now moving into the media aspect of things with the Tiffany Saga series coming to light and possibly a movie soon. Um, the whole nother story that we'll get into way later, way, 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 way later. We'll get into that. Be on the lookout because there's a few books coming out from Beaubrand. But anyway, that statement right there segues me to this. So back in 2018, I put out my very first book called The Wake on Shaw Barton Publishing, which was recently changed to Pen and Page Publishing. Uh, Sadly, Cheryl has had some issues going on with her family. Please keep her in your prayers. She was a real good mentor. She gave me a lot of insight coming into this genre and really doing this as a profession and really teaching me the ropes of how to be a professional author and kind of giving me some insight into publishing. And a lot of my do's and don'ts I learned from Cheryl. Like I went to Cheryl and through her publishing company did my copyrights. And this is a lesson I want to teach to everybody. If you whether you do traditional publishing, you go through a publishing company or you self-publish, copyright your own work before you go. Like don't leave it up to them. It's 40 bucks, 40, $45. Do it yourself. Trust me on this. But I'm saying all that to say doors closing for Cheryl, where she's going to have to close up shop with Pen and Page Publishing, and the rights of the Wake are reverting back to me. Which, when they revert back to me, though, the Wake is going to be completely re-released under Boldprint Publishing. Now, this is not a surprise, honestly, to everybody here at Boldprint because it's something that we kind of was going back and forth with. It was just a matter of timing and how we was going to do things. and I was very happy with how business was being conducted with Pen to Page, to be completely honest with you. Um, Honestly, as far as business is concerned, I haven't had bad experiences from Pen to Page or with LiftBridge. I still have a great partnership with LiftBridge and with Ashley Logan Graham. I have a pretty good relationship with Cheryl. Um, so this is just it just comes sadly because of what's going on in Cheryl's personal life. Again, I'm encouraging everybody, if you have a faith or have a belief, please take time out your day to pray for her and her family. That being said, um, this February, the Wake as You Know It will be pulled off of all platforms, and it will be re-released under Bullprint. I will be making some changes to the Wake as You Know It, just because there's some things I want to touch up just to give it the flavor that it needs. There's some things I'm probably going to take out, like that. Like in the end, I feel like that whole post book write up thing that I did not need to be done. I'm going to take that out. Like there's something I'm just being transparent with you all about. Um, there's some it's in bits and pieces that I want to take out as well from the first chapter, just because there was a lot of names and overboard detail I really wasn't a big fan of, and I'm definitely taking that out. And there might be some sprinkles of some more information I'm going to add in, and I'm going to touch up and update my writing on there, just because I've grown so much more as an author and as a writer from 2018 up until now, and I think that that should reflect, because The Wake, as we all know, serves as a prequel to this whole Tiffany Gibbons saga, and I really want it to be a perfect reflection on that, because The Wake, as we previously knew it, was an 8.5 out of 10 on Books with Benefits. Meanwhile, The Void was a 9.0, Legacy was a 9.8. Union is currently going through the review process right now with Books with Benefits. They'll probably post a rating of that soon. Again, the Union will be released on May 29th of this year. There's a whole rollout set up in place for that, and I'm being very careful of how I roll everything out, just because there's a whole lot of moving pieces going on with the whole rollout to this, to maximize getting this on bestseller lists. And that's it. I'm not guaranteeing when I'm going to re-release The Wake. I really had in my mind, hey, when I get it on February 29th, because this year's a leap year, I'll release it somewhere around March 12th, March 15th. I was thinking that, and I was like, maybe, maybe not. Who knows? Then, but I don't want that to confuse my sales for the Union. But then it was a thought, well, maybe I could wait until after the Union comes out in May and then release it. And I was like, no, this is a book that was already out, that already kind of did a great run. I had the opportunity to be on Good Morning Baltimore, tons of podcasts, and I did a whole lot of press touring with The Wake, which I was very grateful for. And thank you to everybody who contributed to the success of The Wake. Had a great opportunity to speak to um, a university in Delaware about it, and sold tons of books. Again, learning experiences I went through as well with Barnes and Nobles. I really don't want to get into that publicly. Um, but yeah, it's this is a surreal moment where The Wake is quote unquote coming home, and I want to publicly thank Cheryl Barton for all the work that she's done and sowing the seeds into making me into the person I am today. And me using the term top five dead or alive as far as authors are concerned, I don't say that lightly. I don't say that in a disrespectful manner. I know my talent, I know my skill set, and I do know that there were people that God has blessed to put in my direction to help mold me into the author and writer that I am. That being said, I wanted to clear that up and talk about that at the very beginning of the show, which I just did, and we have some more show to go. And on to the next, their impact. So last week we introduced a segment called Their Impact. And in Their Impact, we we agreed that we would talk about different things that impacted my writing and decision making as an author. Um, so this week on Their Impact, I'm going to talk about the DC sniper John Muhammad and BTK, Dennis Rader, and the Golden State Killer. And the reason why they are on the list, which I know it's going to sound weird to a lot of people, like, yo, what are you talking about? What do these people have to do with what you did? Well, if anybody has read The Legacy, which there's a lot of people who've read The Legacy, which is the continuation from The Void, there was a killer by the name of AFK, the action figure killer. And I'm not going to spoil for those who haven't read it yet. I would encourage you, please go out, get a copy of the Legacy right now. Read it. You'll trust me, from first page to last page, you're going to enjoy every bit of it. AFK, Action Figure Killer, has a very interesting origin story. He's been active ever since the wake, and we just didn't know it. And we, as the reader, I should say, just didn't know that it was him and what he was doing and what he was capable of, or his reasoning. And I looked at, while researching, because I do a lot of research on my books. I'm going to go ahead and let's put a pin in this for a second. Last night I had a very phenomenal conversation with one of my favorite authors, Odessa Rose, and while we were talking, I kind of gave her the inspiration of some of these characters I come up with and where they come from, and I kind of gave her this idea of where the amount of work I had to do the Union, how many books I had to read about cults, how many documentaries I watched about cults, and podcasts I listened to about, like, I was so engulfed for about a year and a half with cults. Um, and when I wrote the book, there was like I needed this linchpin, and then I found it. And I'm being careful of what I'm saying as far as that, because as we get closer to the union come out, I could really reveal more behind that curtain. But when I finished the union, and it was like, all right, this is finally done, I was so excited to write transition. And mom, as I got 4 or 5 chapters in, and my mom was like, dude, no, we need something, that we need a cleanser. Like, we really engulfed ourselves into this and went to a pretty dark place mentally with all this cult information. We need a cleanser. And I started writing this comedy book called Crossed, which will hopefully be out by December of this year. And again, it's fun. It's a little sci-fi, and I think you're gonna really enjoy it. Those that get it, but we'll get more into that as we roll that out. But just wanted to talk, like, there's a lot of research I do in my writing process, just so that way I can give you the best quality of a story that I can give. And with the DC sniper John Muhammad, so I of course I grew up in the era when this actually happened. I was working at Giant Food. I remember people, when I was working at Giant, which is a grocery store, people were huddled by the two soda machines that was outside. There used to be like the Giant brand of sodas, and it was like a Coca-Cola brand of sodas. Those two machines was outside, and there was a bench. And over that bench, for whatever reason, the camera for the store would shoot over the bench, so you could sneak outside if you walk at a certain angle, and go, and people would just go on multiple smoke breaks and never be seen, because of the way how the cameras were and how those soda machines were. And for all my 173 people who worked at Giant, especially the ones that smoked, they know exactly what I'm talking about. Um, they People would huddle up because they were so scared of the DC sniper. they were huddled up on their smoke breaks, and like people would synchronize smoke breaks and not go outside alone because they were scared that they could be the next victim. It was a very scary time in this in the Baltimore metropolitan region. So anyway, with John Muhammad, his whole idea was to create like this whole reign of terror with these massive shootings and killings. And what he turned around and did afterwards, well, what his goal was to create this whole big scenario so where he could kill his, I want to say his ex-wife. It could be his baby mama. I really want to say his ex-wife, but his goal was to kill his ex-wife. And but it could have been easily lumped in with this whole DC sniper thing. And he had this whole thing planned out, real dramatic. And that's was part of what AFK's thing was. AFK had a very specific gripe and beef. But his gripe and beef, he knew he wasn't going to completely get away with if he just went straight for the person who he was trying to get. So he made it into this whole, well, actually, I'm a vigilante. I'm righting a bunch of wrongs. And now I could turn a lot of attention towards this whole catastrophe piece. And he actually achieves his goal of the person who he's trying to get. And then it's like, okay, it's like, the dog chased after the car. Now that I have the car, what do I do next? And his next just kept going. Um, and there's a lot more, and I don't want to reveal who AFK is for those who haven't read it. But the idea, the Golden State Killer, and who that person really was, that kind of added to this whole idea with AFK. BTK, just because Dennis Rader was a very intelligent person, and he made one dumb mistake, which is what got him caught, just being way too trusting and really feeling really arrogant and everything. That's as far as like, because AFK is not a sexual criminal at all. It was never about a fetish or him getting off to the murders. So it wasn't any of that. It was more of a, I have a goal, but at the same time, I liked the fact that Dennis Rader had like this certain intelligence about him and was able to carry on a regular life. So I did take those aspects. And that's this week's corner of their impact. Also, I want to introduce a new segment called Insane Bars When You Think About It. So this happened on Monday night or Sunday night. I was sitting back talking to my brother Reggie, and we were just talking about rappers, and I was talking about Styles P, who is one of my favorite rappers of all time, from the Locks, D Block. I grew up loving Styles, Chic, and Jadakiss. I think I've said this on several other nameless blogs. If not, well, I'm saying it now. But anywho, there's a song where it's called "My Life Is All I Have," right? Where he did with Pharrell Munch, and I was just sitting downstairs one day, kids had went to sleep, and I'm just like, for whatever reason, this bar popped in my head. I was like, dude, that bar is way deeper than people think it is. And it was like the bar is a very simple throwaway line if you let it be. But if you sit there and ponder on it, it's like, dude, that was a dope bar. And it's on the flip side of things, it's still warmer than June. I'm having talks with the Lord. He'll be calling me soon. And you throw it away when you hear the hook and you hear the song and everything. You're like, oh, he's talking about death. No, 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 no. That song is way deeper. I'm having talks with the Lord. Hey, yo, he'll be calling me soon. Like, it's just really cool, especially when you listen to the words, the whole song and everything. Like the fact that he said that was just a real dope bar. So I just wanted to say that. Next week's dope bar is going to be a DMX bar. It might actually be a whole verse by DMX, believe it or not. Because this one is one that Lamont and I talk about all the time. Because like when you break down this song, it's just like, what in the world? You know what I mean? So stay on the lookout. Next week, we're going to be breaking down a verse by DMX. And I might actually bring my bro and Lamont on, and we're going to talk about this on air. So stay tuned. But Next up, Alabama's death penalty with the nitrogen gas. I I want to say this. I'm not pro or against death penalty. I am one of those people that I live in a city that has a very high murder rate, and I live in a city that has a lot of corruption, and I live in a city that has a lot of challenges. I am of the firm belief that there should be a check and balance because there's a lot of people who do get caught doing things illegally, and for whatever reason they're back out on the street within a couple of years. I have a cousin of mine that I love dearly, my cousin Kenny, who was murdered, and the person who murdered him was supposed to have life in prison. And to explain the extent of this murder, he was riding in the back seat. My cousin Kenny was driving him home after he dropped off some friends or whatever, and his best friend pulled the gun out and shot and killed him because he wanted my cousin Kenny's girlfriend. He turned around and sung at my cousin Kenny's funeral, and then eventually he turned himself in because he felt like the guilt was weighing on him too much. Whatever. Um, but a life sentence turned into not even 20 years in prison because he was able to testify in court about some crooked correction officers. And it's always interesting because we live I'm being careful what I'm saying because I'm not trying to badmouth anybody in this scenario or in any scenario, but it is troublesome and interesting when you can have somebody who has done a heinous crime to and took somebody a loved one away that had nothing to do with any kind of anything, and you can up and just take their life. But you could get lucky, find somebody doing something illegal, snitch on them, and then you're back out in the street. So when I look at the check and balances of it all, I go, well, where's the penalty in it? Like I used to work. I don't want to say work. I used to volunteer with a group of people from this community, and what we would do is we would walk from the top part of Frederick Road or Frederick Ave, um, the city part, like Paradise area, and we would, uh, with the broom and dustpan, and there was some clergy people from St. Joseph Monastery, and there's some other community leaders. Delegate Keith Haynes was a part of it, and we would just take our broom and dustpans and we'll go up and down the street, and we'll make our way all the way down towards the Southwest Shopping Center. And we do this every Thursday. And while we were doing this, we'll talk to people in the community, hear what's going on, see what we could fix. And a few times, we're talking to the people at this one specific barbershop, and there was this guy there, and he was out on, and he had three stats. So a stat is you could get charged for something, they'll hold that charge and wait for you to commit another crime, and then they'll slam you with both crimes together to make an even stronger sentence. Well, this person was out for and had multiple stats, each one for murder. And he was just hanging out at the barbershop, and that's what he did was he would cut hair and clean the floor, whatever like that at the barbershop. And he had multiple murders. And I just went, I mean, I'm glad you guys gave this guy multiple chances, but at the same time, it's like this guy did take loved ones away. So it's like this isn't me talking trash at all. It's not me talking trash. It's just when I look at things from the family perspective, and I feel like I do have a legit voice in this, not just being a person who was born and raised here in the city, but I used to work at a place called Roberta's House where that's all I did was do counseling for families that were impacted by homicides in the city. So I did grief counseling for nothing but homicide victim families. And this is the year of Freddie Gray and right after Freddie Gray. So this is when we started to see that huge spike in murders in the city. And I just went, wow, we really need a check and balance because there was a day I'm riding down Monroe Street. I think this is the day after the whole Freddie Gray riot thing broke out. And I'm riding down Marlin Street and boom, somebody gets their brains blown out at the BP gas station right down Marlin Street. I'm just like, did I just see that? And I go, I ain't see Jack. And I just kept on driving. You know what I mean? So it's just one of those things. It's like checks and balances. Like it might cause somebody to think twice before they pull the trigger. It might cause somebody to think twice before they steal a car and carjack somebody and kill somebody. Like we just had an elderly woman who's bringing groceries in from the market, and she's getting robbed at gunpoint for bringing groceries in for the market. We had a person sitting at the gas station just not doing nothing. He just up and killed for no reason. Like it's it's sad. It's really sad, and that's why I lean towards. I don't want to ever see anybody die. I definitely don't want to see anybody ever be executed. But I do believe that you need a check and balance to make people who do kill willy nilly think twice for a split second. Hey, is this a good idea? So when my daughter's home, so when things like this happen, and you want to know, I'm just handing her this, guys. Don't bear with me.
The baby monster.
Yes, good job. All right, going over there. Okay. Sorry, guys. Hang on. I'm going to pause and I'm going to go downstairs. Yeah. So when I'm thinking about it from a checks and balances perspective, I go, well, maybe you need this there, not just not for the carrying out of the execution, but for the possible hindrance and the possible saving of a life. Maybe you could save 5 or 10 lives because somebody go, hey, you know what? Instead of shooting, killing this person, I'll just beat them up. Like I won't pull a trigger or I won't kill him. Maybe I might just shoot him in the leg and just drop him. You know what I mean? Like maybe I won't go that extra step in a mile. Maybe certain frivolous murders won't happen and lesser horrible thing, lesser acts of violence could happen. And that's just me thinking out loud. Don't take what I'm saying as guaranteed because I know there's a lot of people who are completely anti death penalty, and there's a lot of reasons why. There have been tons of cases where the wrong person has been executed, but I live in a city where there's a ton of people who are just murdered, and there needs to be an answer. I get that this year the murder rate has dropped, and I know Brandon Scott takes a lot of credit for the work that he's done. Safe Streets have to take a lot of credit for the work that they've done. There's a lot of components that are at play for those efforts, and rightfully so for each one of those. It's just when I think about it, it just makes me go, something more can be done because this place is still like it's excessively violent, you know. And again, a person born and raised, lived in Westport. It's no secret Westport isn't the safest, most friendliest neighborhood of them all. And I saw Concord, um, and I don't remember it ever being this bad growing up there. You know what I mean? I was out there, me and my peoples, Ray and Chris. All of us was out there doing our thing. I'm not getting into that because I'm definitely not going to indict myself on my own show. But uh, you really think like, dude, something there needs to be a check and balance, right? So I looked at this execution with the nitrogen, and I go, and I was reading a lot of comments and a lot of people expressing their feelings about, oh, this is cruel, this is heinous. Say, hold up, hold up, hold up, hold up, hold up. I get how you feel about this whole thing, and rightfully so. You have the right to have those feelings. But let's not forget a person did lose their life over this. Like when you have these people that are up and murdering, raping and murdering people, and it's like, well, where's the justice then? My textile is now paying for you to have 3 hots and a cot, a dentist and a doctor. Like you're out of sight, but you're definitely not out of mind for what you've done. So it's like I get the advocacy that's done and stuff like that, and I get there's some bad convictions and all that kind of stuff. but my feelings are somewhat jaded in a weird way just because I think of my best friend Chris who was killed. I think of my homeboy Tony Bones who was murdered just a couple years ago for doing his job, for being at his job. Not doing nothing outlandish, like legit being at his job and just asking a patron, hey, just don't act like, can you not act like that right now? Like not doing nothing out the way. And if anybody knew Bones, you will understand. Like Bones wasn't a bad dude. Bones was he was a heart, man. Like he had nothing but heart for you, man. Um, you know, I don't know. It's just one of those things. Like I just want to vocalize. I would love to have more dialogue about this. I would love to have other people chime in, give their perspective of it. Definitely, it's just I just feel like there needs to be more deterrence from it, from this. But at the same time, when if you was to introduce something like a death penalty back, is like how they did with this gas this recently, is that the right answer? I mean, we live in Baltimore. Why not just give them fentanyl? But that was a joke. I was not being serious. I'm not saying to give somebody who has murdered 6 people on North Avenue fentanyl to make them overdose and die with no Narcan. I am not saying that at all. 'Cause that would be cruel. But I am saying, you do need some kind of deterrent to possibly change behavior. That is what I'm saying. And even if it's an option to make you think twice, like in Dark Knight, right? Yes, Dark Knight, I think it is. There's the drug dealers in that first scene, and the bat symbol's up, and they're like, no, 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 not tonight, bro, not tonight. Like there needs to be that not tonight type deterrent that's going on. Like even what's going on right now with all these stolen cars, with the temp tags and the Virginia tags and the Pennsylvania tags and New Jersey tags running around everywhere in here and doing hit and runs all the time and everything. There's somebody who died yesterday from a hit and run. Where's the accountability? Again, check and balance. If I know, boom, check here is I could possibly get the death penalty now, and they're going to give me fentanyl, which is going to be horrible with no Narcan, and I'm going to get this fentanyl hit in front of my whole family, I might not do it. If I get the nitrogen hit and I know that this is a horrible way to die and it's gonna make me suffer, I might not do it. You know, it's just one of those things. Like it just makes me think. Like I don't want black people to be executed at an exponential rate. But at the same time, I do think if you do this as a deterrent and then invest money on this other side as harm reduction, meaning ways where you won't get to there, I think that you could get to a perfect balancing of that checkbook. Meaning, hey, let's invest in something like radiology. Radiology, you don't need a degree in to work in X-ray, MRI, CAT scan. You need a certification. Let's get these kids in 11th grade, enter them in the program. That way, by the time they graduate high school, they have a certification where they could get. We have tons of hospitals: Sinai, Mercy, John Hopkins, University of Maryland Medical Center, University of Maryland Midtown, um, Northwest Hospital. I'm blanking on a few. Franklin Square, et cetera, et cetera. We have tons. I'm missing some. I know I am. I think I said St. Agnes. I don't remember. I think I said Bon Secure. I don't remember. I know I didn't say Union Memorial, right? So we have tons of medical centers all throughout the city. And that's a fact that's not up for debate. All these hospitals have radiology centers. We even have outpatient radiology. You have advanced radiology, et cetera, et cetera. You have your urgent cares and your patient first all throughout the city, right? How is it that this is an untapped territory for a career? Because once you get that certification, you're going to come out making $35 to $45 an hour just pushing a button and tell somebody to sit still while you're doing the scan. And again, you could start teaching this in 11th grade. That way, by the time they finish in 12th grade, they graduate, they have something that could bring them a career. They could have something that they could build on, a foundation to go somewhere instead of, hey, look, I'm not seeing anything except for boarded up homes and trees going through the houses and people high as a kite on fentanyl up and down my street, nothing but violence. You now create a way out with harm reduction, but at the same time, you have, hey, look, this is one end of the spectrum right here where we're trying to help you get a career. And the other end of the spectrum, if you go too far down this road on the wrong side, there's a chance that you could get the fentanyl injection that's going to kill you. Like I just throwing it out there. Like I feel like there's some checks and balance, and there's some roads in between the fix. I know this could turn into a whole political agenda, and I'm not doing that. Just because there are a lot of people that are just paid off politicians that really do more crippling to our people than helping. So I don't want to get into that either. I just wanted to throw that out there. Sorry if I lost anybody in that train of thought. It's just I'm just thinking about my people at the end of the day, and what best ways that we could serve, and help promote. Um, Now I want to talk about this week's top 10. So this week's top 10 is fun. Okay. And before I go into anything about this week's top 10, I want to let everybody know this top 10 is based off of me when I was single. I'm a happily married man. I have 3 kids. This year will mark 10 years that my wife and I have been married. We're homeowners. We own a business, as you can see behind me, Bowprint Publishing. Bowprint, we're going to be doing a lot this year as far as traveling and stuff like that, and releasing a lot of different books, not just mine. Like I mentioned, I will be re-releasing The Wake once all the rights revert back over here, and Union will be coming out on May 29th. Cross will probably be out between November and December of this year, and I have a few authors that will be coming out underneath the platform as well this year. So that being said, this top 10 list don't come from me, okay? This is just a for fun top 10 list. All right. So I have my honorable mentions. My first honorable mention. So wait, let me explain what this is. The top 10 sexiest employment agencies. Okay. See, I told you it's going to be fun. The top 10 places where they're like the sexiest people in the world. So this is the honorable mention. I have 9. The first one, fast food workers. Second one, women in advanced auto, AutoZone, or the Walmart automotive section. Number 3, people working at Costco, Sam's Club, or BJ's. Number 4, landlords or property managers. Number 5, grocery stores, delis, bakeries, pharmacies, and registers or shop back workers. So people working at the grocery store, the deli people, the bakers, the pharmacy, the register, the people who work the register, or the shop back workers. Number 6 on the honorable mention list is Target employees. Number 7, personal trainers. Number 8, Red Cross employees. And number 9, the register ladies in the hospital dining rooms. All right, so those are the honorable mention. Here's the top 10 sexy employment agencies, like employees or whatever like that. So number 10, bakers. Number 9, radiologists, x-rays, ultrasound techs, et cetera, that work like CAT scan workers, all that kind of stuff. Number 8, ER nurses. Number 7, women who barber. Number 6, CNA GNAs. Number 5, school teachers. Number 4, road crew workers. Number 3, people who work at Bath and Body Works. Number 2, firefighters. And number 1, above all, physical therapists. And that right there is the top 10 sexiest employees in the world. again, I'll go to the top 10. Well, I'll go to the honorable mentions first. So honorable mention on the sexiest employees. Number one, fast food workers. Number two, women who work in Advanced Auto, AutoZone, or in the Walmart automotive section. Number three, people who work at Costco, Sam's Club, or BJ's. Number four, landlords or property managers. Number five, grocery store workers, like people who work in the deli, the bakery section, the pharmacy, registers, or the shop back workers. Number six, Target employees. Number seven, personal trainers. Number eight, Red Cross employees. And number nine, register ladies, the ladies who work the registers in the hospital dining rooms. And the top 10 sexy employees, above all, top 10, number 10, bakers. Number nine, radiologists, x-ray techs, ultrasound, MRI workers, et cetera, et cetera. Number eight, ER nurses. Number seven, women who barber. Number six, CNA, GNAs. Number five, teachers. Number four, road crew workers. Number three, the women that work at Bath and Body Works. Number two, firefighters. And number one, physical therapists. Thank you all. That is this week's top 10. Next week, we're going to have something else fun that we'll do for our top 10. And I'm going to close this out with the trailer again for the Union. I'm glad I'm able to run it here. I'm not officially running it on my on the YouTube and everything else yet, just because there is some other work that we're doing with the trailer. Very soon, the weather's starting to get warm again. I know the Baltimore Ravens are playing this weekend, so I'm definitely not going to be shooting that in the city this weekend. Maybe next weekend, depending on how the weather and everything looks. We might do it next week. But just bear with me 1 second, and I'm going to be able to show it to you. I hope everybody enjoyed everything. Again, I didn't want to make this into a political thing with the execution. I didn't want to get into whether it's right or wrong, but I do, to a degree, believe that there needs to be a check and balance. And with that check and balance idea, a big part of that is based around, I don't know. Like I think a big part of it is the frustration. Part of it is we've been playing around Robin for a while, and then I think about how my cousin Kenny was murdered, and I also think about how Chris was murdered, and I just always think like, hey, look, there has to be a better way. That there has to be something that we're all missing. And I think that there has to be something that we can all agree, hey, we don't have to get all the way to this extreme, but if we put this on the table, we could save some lives. If we put this on the table and we give ways out, like I mentioned, even teaching radiology, we could give an opportunity for people to thrive. And give me 1 second, because this thing is starting to trip right now. So I am now going to share the screen, and then I'm going to get out here. My name is Dr. Kyle Berkeley. I can be reached on all forms of social media at Berkeley for Us, except for Facebook, which is going to be Dr. Kyle Berkeley. Please feel free to hit me up. If you disagree with anything I say, please feel free to tell me. If you agree with anything I say, please feel free to tell me. Please check out my books, The Wake, The Void, The Legacy, coming soon to Union, and soon to be removed, but coming again soon. That sounds very nasty. The Wake. So I'm going to share the screen right now. And I look forward to seeing you all next week. Peace.